A lot of their best creators that were like the most popular just started leaving. Their profits have been negative most years. So they're a pretty mature company to not be making a profit. A media company. I mean, it's one thing if a tech company is putting money into research and they're not making a profit, but a media company should be making a profit at this point.
That's going to get you fired or that's going to get you outcasted.
I know I'm not supposed to do that. You know, I don't know who could do it.
See, that's what I mean. That thing you feel that tells you you're not supposed to do that. That's how I feel that same thing when I approach risky topics. Nike used to have a feature on their website. You weren't ready.
I'm sorry.
You weren't ready.
Oh, man. I was like, don't laugh.
You're like about to take a drink. All right. You good now?
I'm good.
You keep it together?
Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead, John.
So Nike used to have a feature on their website where you could personalize a pair of shoes. One day, lots of years ago, this MIT student gets on the website and he goes on there and he tries to personalize a pair of shoes to say sweatshop on them. Nike sends him an email the next day and they say, hey, your order's been canceled. Here are the reasons an order could be canceled. 1, it violates a trademark. 2, it contains the name of an athlete or team that we can't put on a shoe. 3, it was left blank. Or 4, it contains profanity or inappropriate slang. The kid's name, Jonah Peretti, sends an email back and says, I didn't do any of those things, to which they reply saying, yeah, it's inappropriate slang. And he then references Webster's dictionary where sweatshop is an official term in the English language. Then Nike plays the trump card and says, we can actually just deny your order for any reason at all. So Jonah responds with this message. He said, thank you for your time and energy you've spent on my request. I've decided to order the shoes with a different ID, but I would like to make one small request. Could you please send me a color snapshot of the 10-year-old Vietnamese girl who makes my shoes? Nike didn't respond. He thought that was pretty funny, so he sent it to a few friends. They sent it to a few friends, and they sent it to a few friends, and it actually ended up reaching millions of people. Soon, national media was contacting Jonah. He got on the Today Show with Katie Couric to debate the VP of public relations of Nike about sweatshop labor, something he knew nothing about, by the way. This was in the year 2001, which means that this guy, Jonah Peretti, was maybe the first person to ever go viral. And that was like a drug. He was hooked on it. And he would go on to start one of the biggest viral media sites of all time, Buzfeed. And Buzfeed is what we're talking about today with some incredible guests that I have. First up, Valerie Dawn, the Babe Engineer on YouTube. YouTube's been blown up lately. How when did that start happening?
2 years ago, I just started making technical tutorial videos and
for what? What kind of stuff?
Coding tutorials and stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Were you working at, so I think a lot of people like your channel. Why would you say, what have been your biggest videos? Why would you say people like your channel?
How I became a software engineer as a college dropout. That was that went viral.
That one's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and that was when you first started making the coding tutorials, was that before you were working somewhere and you're just kind of making these tutorials? After that one that went viral, have you had to follow up with a bunch of other ones like that? Or you just kind of stick with making the content you like? How much do you cater to the YouTube algorithm?
Somewhat. I feel now it's just more of a creative outlet. I just do vlogs about my life in tech and stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Other guest today, Ed, Mr. Ed Black.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Hey, what I'm looking at?
You just look at us. Okay. I look at the camera at the beginning.
Okay.
That's a fourth wall thing.
All right.
You got to pretend it's not there now.
Okay, cool. Y'all ain't here.
Yeah. So the viewers aren't here. It's just a conversation. Okay. Ed, very funny stand-up comedian. Came across you on Instagram. Mm-hmm. What's your life story, dude? You sounds like you came from a small town.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about you didn't know what Buzfeed was before.
I didn't really
which
know.
Is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
knew of it, but I didn't know of it. I never went on it. I never referenced it.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
You
didn't take the which Disney princess are you quiz?
No, I didn't.
That seems like it would be right up.
Buzfeed sound like a pop up to me. Something I'm like get it away from this. So.
Yeah.
I didn't use it. But I'm from Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, of course. I'm from. I tell people I'm from New Orleans, but I'm actually from Aurora. That's wherever city you. I don't know, whatever town you live in, the closest city to you. So, but you're going to say that city when you go. So I'm from Aurora.
Yeah, gotcha.
I've been doing stand-up. This will make my 14th 14 years doing stand-up.
14 years
Yeah.
doing stand-up.
So yeah. So 3 years ago, right after the pandemic, I had an opportunity to come to the Bay and try some stand-up. You guys
Yeah.
have a bunch of clubs here. So I was like, you know what? Let me come and see if I can knock it out the park here. So I've been like just crushing it here, coming up with new material and just challenging myself.
You feel like it like helps you to move to a different, because what I've heard about stand-up comedy, I don't do it, but like what I've heard about is like you kind of just have to like live an interesting life. You gotta do interesting stuff, and that like creates material. Do you feel like moving helps you create more material?
I feel like being true to whatever situation that you're in helps you create good stand-up, you know, because I feel like we all doing the same thing, just differently. It's kind of stupid, but moving, getting a new perspective, getting out of your comfort zone, so I would say doing it that way, yes. New Orleans is way different from Louisiana is way different from California, so I'm getting these new perspectives, and even though they're not like everybody doesn't agree with them, like they're true to me. So that helps me write more. Yeah.
No, and I think some of the best bits that I think the thing that I saw of yours was like you have a bit about like going to the dog park. You're like, they're like, do you have a dog here? You're like, well, you think I'm just like trying to take dogs? No, like it's funny. Yeah.
And I
probably just like, but like I think explaining a joke secondhand is like not the best way to make it. Yeah, but it's good.
I kind of think the same, but I also still think the opposite. Like explaining something regular, then making it into a joke is very trippy to me. You know what I'm saying? You're right. Like if I explained it to somebody, they wouldn't laugh. But if I set it up on stage and
you got to set it up. Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
It's like how though?
You're like, this guy came up to the dog park to me like today and asked like if I had a dog there. Like I was like, I'm like catching a predator, like he's trying to catch a predator on like the dog park. Like nobody would laugh at that in just a story, but like when you like write it out and set it up.
And that's how I felt in that moment at the dog park. Even though everything didn't happen like that in order, like that's how I felt once I left. So I didn't know if people were gonna relate. Like I didn't know how they were gonna feel, but I was just like, this is my truth. So let me make it funny.
Yeah, I got you. Well, cool. So we're talking about BuzzFeed today. The idea of this show, if you haven't seen it before, is we break down successful entrepreneurs, creators, authors, comedians, things like that. And we kind of break down, like, how could you recreate their success? What are some of the key things they did that you could recreate and what isn't recreatable? So getting back into the story a little bit. Jonah Peretti, that's his name. He's hooked on the idea of going, like, whatever like that drug is that you get hooked on the first time you take it, that's viral content for this guy. Like he's, as soon as he got like all that attention on something he did, he was like, this is my life's work now at this point. And he actually, what's interesting about it is he'd actually written a thesis paper in college a couple years ago, or a couple years before this, about how like he thought like the internet was creating more schizophrenia because it's so random. And then he created one of the most random sites on the internet ever. But he tried to do some more stuff that like would make him go viral. So do you guys remember, both 90s kids, right? You guys remember the rejection hotline? No. You remember that? No. Okay. So the rejection hotline was just a number. So he bought this phone number with like a voicemail that like if somebody came and asked you for your number, and you didn't want to give them your number, you gave them the rejection hotline number.
I got that before.
Yeah. And so then you call it and it'd be like, this person, like there was some message there, but it was like, it like let you down easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember
Does this still exist?
I don't know. I'm sure. But I think he had to start rotating the number because people would like, you get the rejection hotline number like 4 or 5 times. You're like, yo, this number is already in my phone. You know, like this is Valerie's number. So this can't be your number, right?
People, the Bay Area does this a lot. And that's why my comedy to me is so hard. They use the internet or research to go back and forth with people, to interact with people.
Yeah.
And us small town people, or I want to say definitely black people who are from like, I don't know, I guess the ghetto, the hood, or just a local area, we just interact with people. We don't look up how to interact with Asian people. We go to their stores, their shops, and then we figure it out. And we go, oh, Asian people don't like being hugged. Like, we didn't look it up. We go,
in my experience.
We go older Asian
is that
people
true?
Aren't.
What?
That Asian people don't like being hugged?
They don't really touch much. Like,
oh.
Do you not know?
I mean, from
It's different.
You're like, I
every-
like being hugged and normal.
well, a lot.
Yeah.
So I would go like to these, like in my neighborhood is Asian like stores,
Yeah.
the place, the laundromats and stuff like that, casinos a lot of times when I'm from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And anywhere we go, like they aren't very customer service. Like it's not that they're being rude.
Yeah.
They just go, hey, this how we is. Like
This is
they
the
like
business. Like,
yeah.
come get what you need.
Yeah, and get out. Like not
Yeah.
like, you know, and they would be like that with everybody.
Yeah.
With Asian people, whatever. I worked a casino job. They were just like, we're not as chummy with our Asian like clientele because they don't like all that. They're like, yo, give me my money, my tokens.
Yeah,
and
they're
that's
just
it.
trying to play.
So, and it seems like that on
Interesting.
TV. And, like, give me a show where they hug. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if your family hugs. Do y'all hug? You have brothers and sisters?
No, I'm an only child.
Only child?
We hug.
You guys
Y'all
hug?
hug?
Yeah.
You look
hug.
like a big hugger.
yeah.
Yeah, we hug. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
She hugs.
Okay.
Yeah. But she's like, are you second generation, third generation? I wonder if that
First.
matters. First generation?
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if that matters. I don't know. I don't know anything about anything, but like, I'm super
They're
white.
just not.
I'm
to
super
me,
white, dude.
From what I've not even what I learned. From what I know, when I see them, like when I see Asian people, if I got an Asian friend I know he hug, I'ma hug him. But
Right.
overall, like if I just see you in passing, they're really like short, like you know, unless
Yeah.
they're like from here or something. And they,
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't make a practice out of hugging strangers, period.
mm-hmm.
So like, you know, if it's an Asian stranger, I'm not more likely to hug them.
I'm pretty sure you don't hug no strangers, but that's not what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah.
But good one though.
I think in the Bay Area, we're very afraid of seeming racist.
Being
or
offending.
offending people.
Yeah.
Especially if you work at a tech company, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
an
that's a good
HR
point.
violation.
Yeah.
That's gonna get you fired or that's gonna get you outcasted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. Can you get
have to
like inside your company canceled? Like, you know what I mean?
kind
Or like,
of.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how you,
Even if it's not bad enough to get fired or get written up or
You get
whatever.
reported or like
Yeah.
I don't know, like no one just wants to step on anyone's toes. So
that
Yeah.
has to be the most weirdest work area ever. I would freak out all the time because
Yeah.
I say hey to somebody. I was like, did you see that?
that's why everyone's so professional because we don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Yeah,
Oh my
interesting.
God. And then people be like, do you feel yourself at work trying to out-profession somebody sometimes?
Mm,
No?
no.
Oh, okay.
So I think an example of that is you use words that are bigger than you need to. You know what I mean? Like you could explain something much more simply.
Some
you-
people do that.
Use 3 sentences when you could use one or something like that. That's
Yeah.
a common one I see. I'm not saying you do that, but
Yeah,
that's a
like
common
some
one I see.
people like to describe like this tool, like Git, is like they say
Yeah.
Git is a distributed versioning control system.
yeah, you're like what?
I just fell asleep.
that?
Like what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like just sound human?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But they just choose to sound really technical.
yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah, I think that's like a
the out thing they try to do. Yeah.
Yep.
Or they would like start naming their school. I went to Harvard. I went to Oxford. I went to a school
that a
you never
thing?
even heard of.
you feel like that's a thing inside like big tech or inside the tech world.
They just mention it casually, like, oh, like
It's like a name
I
drop.
went to
Like
Berkeley, I
yeah.
went to MIT.
right. Okay.
It's
That's
no
a-
big deal.
It's a big thing on the East Coast. Like, what school did you go to?
Oh,
Yeah, I've noticed that. I didn't know if it was as big here or not, but
here it's more casual.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jonah Peretti, he does all that stuff. He's trying to like kind of recapture that viral magic. It's not really working. But what it did do is it kind of got him like quote unquote discovered. And so he was actually one of the original co-founders of the Huffington Post, which you probably
Oh wow.
Okay.
you know what the
Yeah.
Huffington Post is?
Yeah.
Dude, you have the weirdest sampling of knowledge of the internet.
Because all right, Huffington Post came out after BuzzFeed,
A little bit before, yeah.
a little bit before
Yeah.
BuzzFeed.
Yeah, a little bit before. So Buzfeed was like a side project he worked on while he was working at the Huffington Post.
Okay, so Huffington Post. The reason why, because they referenced that in television. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, Huffington Post is like seen as a kind of like a legitimate journalistic
Okay.
news source. So it was him and Ariana Huffington, and there was another, Breitbart was the other co-founder of that. So like if you're into news at all, you would know that that's like sort of a triangle of different viewpoints. So that was what the Huffington Post was supposed to be at first. It kind of turned into not really that. But that was, Jonah Peretti was one of the co-founders of the Huffington Post. He was doing serious news, which does not really go viral unless
Mhm.
it's just big news, right? You got to break it. But he was still kind of hooked on the viral thing. So he started BuzzFeed as this sort of like side project where they started out doing like just finding stories or memes or whatever and just like posting them. And you have to understand this was like kind of before social media. I think MySpace would have been around, but MySpace wasn't a place. There was like no feed on MySpace. Did you guys have MySpace?
Yeah, I had MySpace.
Yeah, there wasn't like really a feed there. Like I can't even remember, but mostly it was just a place where you could stalk each other, right?
Yeah.
You could chat a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And you could like play with some code to customize your page.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a feed of content. So BuzzFeed was a place where there was a feed of content. They'd put out, memes or like some of the early viral videos, like, David After Dentist or like Red versus Blue, if you remember that. So like those were kind of like got big on the internet. Those were the kinds of things they would post. They would just like share stuff that they thought was generally viral. And then they would sometimes write stuff like little listicles, like, 10 things that, 10 breakup texts that you never want to get or something like that, and they were just like very obsessed with this idea of like, can you like make a formula that will make something go viral, right? This was sort of perfect timing because they launched in 2006. The other thing that launched in 2006 really was YouTube. And also Facebook was still closed. It was still like college students only in 2006, but they're just starting to take off, right? So MySpace wasn't really like a content place, but there's some of these ones that are starting to take off that are content space. The other thing that happened a lot in 2006 is people would like forward emails to each other. I don't do this, but the sort of generation of professionals before, that was like in their jobs in 06 would like forward funny emails to each other.
I heard about that. Russell Peterson.
Yeah.
He had like a funny clip and that's how he exploded because people will forward it through emails. I never got it.
Yeah. Like, so if you got a funny email, like there would be like, oh, let me forward this, but like, you would know people's emails. Like if you remember being a kid and you like knew some of your friends' phone numbers. So some people would like know each other's emails or they just forward it in there. Like a lot of it gets saved in email. So BuzzFeed leveraged what they called like the bored at work network. So these people who were at work kind of like, wanted to take a 2-3 minute break. Like what is something that's just very forwardable that other people will think is funny? You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of how like BuzzFeed first took off, is just like this website. I don't know how to explain it other than this website that just like put up kind of funny stuff that it thought the whole point was like things that they think will get shared. Among the board at work network. Another thing that they pioneered was like a trending tab. So now every platform, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, has a For You tab. They were the first to kind of have something that was just not just chronological. Here's the latest post, but they had one that was like, here's the most popular posts. Know what I'm saying?
That's a smart idea.
Yeah. So that was kind of like how they got going. But then YouTube started in 2016 and they're like, okay, we should do this video thing, right? I don't know if you remember what YouTube looked like in 2016. It did not look like it looks today. You could basically put anything on there and like it would kind of get views.
Yeah.
So they kind of built up this network of, not even a network. They had an office in New York and they, I think, raised a bunch of money, from the Huffington Post and others. And they had this office in New York. So Jonah Peretti leaves the Huffington Post to do BuzzFeed full time once it starts to take off. And they create this office with a bunch of video studios. And you remember those videos on Facebook they're tasty was what they're called?
I love those.
Yeah. So it's like a camera shot from above and it's just somebody making some food.
I must have been asleep during this.
Dude, I don't know what you knew what the Huffington Post was like.
Some delicious recipe and
yeah,
it was fun to watch.
Yeah. So it was just like a camera shot straight down at a table and it would be like a sped up video usually of somebody making some delicious recipe. So they came up with that format. They also came up with like some creators got really popular. So they were the first ones that had like creators that were like popular. The Try Guys are some of them. That was just like 4 guys who would try stuff, like try every menu item at Taco Bell. A lot of the formats you see today on YouTube were sort of
copied off.
Yeah. Try every menu item at Taco Bell.
They're like cheap and then medium and high end food options that they would try.
Yeah. Or they would try a type of food for the first time or something like that. Or like sometimes they do some of their biggest ones were like, we try on women's underwear, like, and it sort of turns into this like, oh, this is what women have to go through type of thing, right? So there's like ends up being a little more to it, right? And so that they were like really big. Those 4 guys got really big. And then another one called Michelle Carre. She is currently a YouTuber. She has a lot of subscribers. She does a series called Challenge Accepted where she'll like become a boxer or run the New York City Marathon or just like do something really hard, right? They had a series called Unsolved, which now turned into, I think their YouTube channel is Watcher. It's a pretty popular YouTube channel. It's a true crime thing, if you're into that. And then probably the most famous person now out of there is Quinta Brunson, who just won, what is the TV award, Emmy or an Oscar for the show Abbott Elementary. If you guys have heard of that.
Yeah, HBO Max.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, so she's one of the main characters on Abbott Elementary, Quinta Brunson. So yeah, all these people kind of like came out of BuzzFeed. At the time, they were all there, and this was like, so BuzzFeed became like really the biggest YouTubers first, right? You had like these one-off videos, like, I don't know, the Numa Numa guy. You remember the Numa Numa guy? It was like doing the dance, man. Or like, David After Dennis was. You kind of had these one-off videos that got really big, but they were the first ones that were like producing them on a regular basis and posting them on YouTube. So they sort of came up with the formula, and the formula was combine humor with some kind of topic that's just a little risky, right? So they were like slightly left-leaning, funny videos was sort of their angle, right? So like the Try Guys trying on women's clothing would kind of turn into this like, oh, we really objectify women type of video. And that like created a lot of virality because there's other people on the other side of that argument. You know what I'm saying? You were kind of saying about one of your videos. Like the ones that go super viral are the ones that are
triggering,
have the negative comments.
Yeah. Sort of like challenges people's beliefs.
Yeah. Or it like some people are there's got to be some people in the comments that are really supportive about it. And then some people who are like, I disagree. You know what I mean? Like if people can fight a little bit in the comments, that's something that goes viral.
Yeah.
So they realized that was a big thing. And then obviously the internet. And then one more piece was authenticity. So a lot of those early creators at BuzzFeed, they were just seen as very authentic. Like people were like, oh yeah, like they just seem like a bunch of kids over there having fun. And BuzzFeed was like the place to be. A bunch of YouTubers were sort of, one generation of YouTubers was kind of like inspired by them and wanted to be them. Just like kids are kind of being inspired by Mr. Beast now.
I was definitely inspired. I thought about wanting to work at BuzzFeed one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like you. Yeah, you're like of the right generation to have.
Yeah.
So
I was like a teenager.
What, like which series or which videos were like Tasty was obviously.
Yeah,
ones
Tasty.
That you like.
Some of them just like working at BuzzFeed. Like there are videos of them just having donuts at BuzzFeed. Like,
yep.
That seemed cool.
They would just do like behind the scenes videos that would get a bunch of views.
Yeah.
So YouTube was a crazy time. If you did that now, like, I guess if you were already big, maybe it would get videos. But if you did that now, like, here's a behind the scenes video of our work, like nobody would watch that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Unless it was a big company or a well-known thing, right?
I feel like that's what I probably just start doing too. Like, I don't research.
Yeah.
Should I do this or that? I'd be like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to do it.
Yeah.
I do think about if it's going to offend people, but I'm really trying to get away from that and just if it offends people, just let it like offend people. Like, because I'm not looking to offend anybody, but people get offended. Like, I don't know. Like, how many times do I not do it?
Yeah.
And the Bay Area is just, they just be ready to write a review. Like, they do, man. They ready. It was like, yo, my grandma's old. You can't talk about old people. Like, it's like, bruh, like, don't.
I personally have the belief that like comedy should create creative license, or actually creativity calls for creative license.
It do too, and I'm all over. See, they had this guy tell this joke. He was just like, he said, this is what he said. He said, oh, me and my wife are getting married, but we can't afford me and my Latino wife are about to get married, but we can't afford a wedding. Her family can't afford to go, so we're gonna go to Home Depot. That is,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like, what is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like, I do believe in that, but when you say shit like that, it's just like, what is, like, come on, bro, like, do better, like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, so what I've noticed with comedy is it seems to be, the bar is, did people find it funny?
He felt like they did. I was there. I was just like, nobody laughed.
If nobody laughed, then it was inappropriate.
See,
you know what I mean?
I don't get the joke.
Huh?
I don't get the joke.
Well, you don't get the joke? He was just, so his wife is Latino.
Okay, why are they going to Home Depot?
Have you ever been to Home Depot?
Yeah.
You never looked outside Home Depot?
Oh.
Yeah.
He just said it. That's what you got to explain.
I was thinking inside Home
like,
Depot.
I'm not gonna explain it.
I know that you're smart, so I'm glad that you had one of the moments.
Yeah. I don't get you.
But I do like it though, because it shows that your brain isn't there. Like, I'm sorry, that sounded bad. It showed
you're not thinking like that.
You're not thinking like that. Thank you for clearing that up. Like, and when you're not thinking like that, you can have a general joke and be some type of way, but like, it's like, that's another thing about doing a joke. You want to trick people into the joke, like, and you just like, nah, I ain't get it. Like, so I kind of like that.
I think there's a line, and I think, Matt Rife, the comedian, he got criticized for this recently. Like, he put out a special, and he's like, a lot of his fans are like women, that saw his TikToks or whatever, saw his crowd work, and then he does a stand-up special, and he does a lot of like, women jokes.
Yeah.
And I think if people laugh, then it's good. It's comedy. Yeah. But if you do a joke and it's like, it was just, there's the line of like funny, cringe, and it was just on this side of cringe. Yeah. It's like, if you go just on that side of cringe, you go all the way.
Yeah.
And you're like almost canceled for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the struggle, is that, I mean, do we want to let people make jokes that are a little bit racially charged or, gender? Yeah. But like, what if they're just on that side of cringe? Then we just like, oh, they're all the way out. It's like, yeah, well, they just didn't hit that joke. But then at the same time, like you're saying,
he wrote a joke though, so it's fine. Like he wrote a joke about it. I'm not saying it's fine for women. I'm just saying the joke by itself is fine. Like, he made a joke that I didn't see coming about, I guess, hitting women who's supposed to work in the kitchen.
Yeah, that was Matt Rife.
That was Matt Rife.
That's the Matt Rife joke.
I saw that.
He opened the show with that.
Yeah, he wrote that. He wrote a joke about it. You didn't see it until he said it at the end.
Yeah.
If I would have saw it coming, like, I'd have been like, oh, but he wrote it. I feel like it was fair.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually want you to hit women. No. Like, that's the whole thing about joking on stage. Like, it's just like, first off, he's not saying that.
It's comedy. Yeah.
It's comedy. Yeah. And it's supposed to take your brain there. This new thing though with comedy about like, you can't talk bad about women, is crazy though. That's, it's kind of like, you can't say nothing. Like, I said something on stage the other day, like, women make terrible stepmothers. People just didn't even let me finish. Yeah.
Who makes better stepmothers?
Well, what a joke is, like, think about a good stepmother, like in a movie or a show.
Yeah, they're never. They're always evil.
Exactly. Like, so that's just a bit. Like, doesn't mean you are a terrible stepmother. Doesn't mean women are terrible no. It's just a play on that phrase of stepmothers. Like, see, and they won't let you get there of humor of that. Like, it doesn't mean you go home to your stepmother and be like, you're terrible. Look at this comedian. He said it. Like,
I think it's people's guard goes up as soon as something might get a little like,
I like that stuff. I like it for the world. I like racial humor. What else were we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do if it's no humor with sports, with race, with kids, with pets?
I think somebody told me once that, like, by definition, a joke, in order to be funny, has to have a victim.
Yeah.
So sometimes the victim is yourself. You're being self-deprecating. Sometimes the victim, you're teasing somebody else, or you're whatever.
Or the situation. But see, that's another thing. We're not teasing though.
Yeah.
Most of us are not teasing. We're not teasing. We all see this. We all see, like, when I first moved here, like, homeless people used to be homeless people in New Orleans. When I moved here, homeless people was a whole different level for me after that, you know? And once you see it, your brain is like, yo, what is this? Like, it looks like something on TV.
Yeah.
It does. Like, people are burning fires, getting warm. Like,
yeah.
you don't do that. Like, I never saw that in New Orleans. Like, you know what I'm saying? People are like, like looking like, like it's crazy. So, they got homeless transgenders with the full setup. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
With the full setup.
With the full setup. Like, so it's just like, dang, like, did you go broke after you bought those titties? Like, so it's just like your brain goes to thinking. Yeah, So I don't know, man. Like, when do y'all like Candace Owens? Like people don't like.
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, I felt like she said this thing on. I heard her say this thing. She was just like, when the kings start killing jokers, like, we should be scared. And that's funny. That's crazy to me. Yeah. When you ever watch those movies, when the king is just like, cut him. I ain't like it. Like, it's like, oh, shit.
Right, yeah.
And that's what's kind of happening.
That's never like a good guy king.
That's never like,
I get you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so where were we in the story? Yeah, so they kind of like, so Buzfeed blows up. They're huge, on YouTube. Their website is getting huge. But this is interesting because we're just kind of like talking about like what is genuine, what is humor. One of the problems they have is like, how do you create, because they had to grow, like they just had to like get more views, get more of everything, because they had this investor money and they also went public and they're traded on the stock market now. Mm-hmm. So their stock price has to increase. How do you create authenticity, which is a big part of content people connect to at scale? Like, how do you just hire a bunch of people, 100, 200 young creators, right? 300 young creators, and make them create content that is both viral and authentic, and have them do it every single day, because they're supposed to make videos every single day or multiple videos a day. Like, at some point, doesn't the authenticity just leave, because now you're
That's what I'm saying.
Cranking out videos. That's like what you were saying. You're like, I don't really I just kind of let the jokes come to me. I'm a little too much of an artist. So you're probably like way on this side of that spectrum. Right?
I don't never relate, because I want when I'm doing this, like, this is fun to me. Right. I need to have fun. Like, if it's a bunch of rules and all of that stuff like that, I'll go get a job. Like, which comedy is my job, but like, I need to be able to like to want to see it too. Yeah. And even if no one else likes it, I gotta be like, bro, that's how I wanted it written. Like, that's how because that's how I saw it, and that's what I thought made me laugh. Yeah. So if you got it, when I heard you say that, I think it was 3. You said in the beginning it was authenticity. I thought it was 3. It was 3 things. Is it 4?
Humor, a somewhat risky topic.
Yeah.
Well, and it's 3. So the internet's just the vehicle by which something goes viral, right? So really it is 3. It's humor, some kind of like slightly risky, controversial topic, and authenticity.
See, yeah. So I'm just an honest question for y'all. How do y'all brain operate what's risky? Like, I don't think.
I think I know. I have.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that's maybe a cultural difference.
Yeah. And that's another thing too.
Do you know? Can you just tell when a topic is risky?
Yeah, like everything you said, like
5 minutes ago.
Basically
everything we're talking about right now.
What is it?
All of the jokes.
Wait, what did I say? What was risky?
So like the Home Depot joke. Like, you can just sense that's See, you didn't say that. I know that's not your joke.
So
or like Matt Rife's jokes. Like, you can inherently sense in the setup if you hear somebody saying that, like, oh, he's going a direction with this that is like risky. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I like what you say. Like, I'm tired of coming. Like, so I'm tired of. So the Bay Area, on TV, I thought it was black. When I got here, I was like, yo, I don't think it's black no more. But I don't think I should get in trouble for cultural differences. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I respect people's culture. Respect mine. We loose at the mouth. So this PC thing that they got, I'm like, bro, I'm not a part of that. Yeah. Like, I don't even, like, I don't know. See, I didn't count this in a PC party. I'm sorry, can we say anything on here?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't count the N-word part of the PC party. I thought the N-word was clearly like, yo, like, I'm not saying like, you know how the people use the correct pronouns and language. I didn't count that. I thought like we knew that was off limits because of whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's not part of
I mean, I know that.
Right. But people would kind of try to group that with other stuff, and I'm like, bro, that don't even got nothing to do.
You can't identify it.
Yeah, like, bro, that don't even got nothing. Like, that should be dead. Like, if y'all can't give us nothing, give us that. Like, we asking. So, like, where I'm from, in New Orleans, it's funny because like people think people will claim San Francisco as like the gay city or something like that. But I think Atlanta and New Orleans is way gayer. Now, I didn't never look at it as being gay. I just thought everybody was having fun. Like, you know, like we have like this music, it's called bounce music. Y'all heard? Yeah. Uh-oh. So a lot of gay artists do that music, but we never caught it. We never say it was gay music. Like, we like, yo, it's just music. A bunch of gay people use it though. Like, yeah. So here, everything is like in a bubble. Like, you know, like a lot.
Like we've got to, like categorize it.
Like
I think it's good that you don't limit yourself. I think it's also like, you know, when you're a minority, you get away with saying
we used
like,
to
things.
So I know where the lines are, because I think there's just like something pretty ingrained in like I know I can't say the N-word.
But
that's a hard line though. That's so obvious.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Like that's like the one thing that like early on, it's like as soon as you're a white kid and you hear that word and you ask your parents what it means, they're like, never ever say it.
Good.
You know?
That's good. Right? See? All right, my example would be
I mean, maybe not all white, but like that's like
But see, that's what I'm talking about, like common sense, or we're in the same playing field, because I just wouldn't walk up to you and go like, nice tits. Like, I know I'm not supposed to do that. You know, I don't know who could do it.
See, that's what I mean. That thing you feel that tells you you're not supposed to do that. That's how I feel that same thing when I approach risky topics. She feels that same thing when she approaches risky
topics. Give me
topics.
5 risky topics.
Like a lot of the ones we're talking about, like
they're offensive.
All these conversations we're having right now.
It's not gonna come out of my mouth.
But those are see that you got offensive.
Yeah.
I don't think it's offensive to say, like I said, I look like another black person. Who I look like other people do for me, but I'm like, bro, it's not. It's offensive to touch my hair, not because I'm black. It's offensive to touch anybody's hair. Like
you don't touch anyone's
hair. You
don't
touch people. Like I saw a girl do a black, like, it's okay, you guys can feel it. It's just like, no, don't let people pet you. Like, that's my common sense brain. So when I say things, and I don't genuinely hate anybody.
Yeah.
You know, no group of people. I don't hate fat people, white people. I don't hate anybody. But if it go, like, we're in a road rage, whatever you are at that time, you fat midget bitch is what you gonna be called. I don't hate short people or midget. That's what whatever you look like, if we in an argument, that's what you're gonna be. You know?
Okay.
I still love you, but hey, right now, even if you black dirty bastard, like that's so I like when I do get accused of something, I'm like, bro, I don't even fucking know who to hate. Like, you know, or how to hate you.
Who am I supposed to how do I hate?
You know?
I think so for the purposes of this, like a risky topic would be like this topic of, so like those the black person, the testimonials that I said earlier, like, you know, like that would be like one of those topics that like goes a little bit viral, because there are some people who could kind of get behind that and be like, yeah, like calling a black person articulate is kind of just like racist. Because you're saying that because you're just not expecting them to be.
Yeah,
you know?
It's not racist though. Like I do want to draw the line. I'm not. I hope I don't sound black people.
But that's a risky topic. That's an example of one that like could kind of get people going in the comments.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's either. This is what I talk about people too. Like, did y'all grow up with black people?
No, not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot.
You probably more. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe what?
Dude.
Maybe.
No, so I can tell you for sure. Like my high school had 2-3 black people.
Okay, so that in
300 graduating class.
Yeah,
2 or 3 black people.
That's not bad though. So like, it's a difference from when you didn't grow up around black people. So I'm not gonna lie. When I used to go play basketball, it used to be all black people. When we used to get that one white guy or that one Asian guy, who was really good, we was freaked out. You know what I'm saying? We was, what the fuck is white? You know, we were that white dude fucking
dude, you're like, he's gonna shoot. Just be ready.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
you know, once you do it one time though, then you gotta stop. Like, so if you get to your 30s and you still calling like black people articulate, it's like, what the fuck did you grow up at? Like, eventually you catch on and be like, oh, I can't do that. Even though it's not common to me, I have to catch on and be like, I didn't learn that. I mean, I just sensed that part of me to stop doing that. Like, white people could rap. Like, I had to sense that to be like, oh, don't be amazed by that anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Cam Newton got in trouble one time because he met a girl who knew about like she know about the playbook. Did y'all see that clip? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But people was like, he was being sexist. I'm like, no, he not. He was amazed that a girl knew like way more about sports.
That was the first time he came across.
Yeah. So it threw him off. He was being genuine. He paid for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like some shit is just honest. Like, and you just have to, that's why we all gonna go out in this world, travel, and let it just come to us. Cause it wouldn't be offensive. Like you literally would be in HR, like all I told him was that he had a nice haircut. And in your mind, you're trying to figure out what you did was wrong when you just gave somebody a compliment. If you walked up and told somebody at your job that their dress was ugly, you wouldn't go to HR. They wouldn't go. But if you say your dress is nice, you would be like it's crazy. These rules
That's true. You're like,
once
you can tell people they're ugly. That's okay.
See, once you find out these rules are dumb, it's just like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah. No, I mean, look, I can sense when they're like when they say, oh, a risky topic is part of the viral formula. I'm like, I don't know exactly how to define that, but I get exactly what they mean.
I don't know what's risky. I
think you do. So it's the stuff you sense over time. You're like, oh yeah, like after being, amazed 2 or 3 times by white guys showing up, like I learned not to be amazed by that.
Yeah,
anymore,
that
right?
white guys could play basketball too.
Right.
Like,
so it's the same thing. Usually you don't see it like, white guy, like same kind of thing. Once you're in your 30s and you call them black people articulate, like that's kind of like, that's the kind of thing that like can create enough controversy to be so like a risky enough topic to go viral, but not, completely, it's just like a little subculture type thing.
Is it risky to say using washcloths is a thing? I've heard this like be a thing.
I heard this for the first time like recently. I don't even know what what it is. What is the thing?
Black people, I know, I know we do, and I thought the whole world did too. When you take a bath, you use a washcloth.
You take a shower.
Oh.
When you take a shower,
you use a washcloth.
Use a loofah.
Use a loofah.
A loofah, you use something.
That's like a white.
Have you ever
that's
used
like a rich person washcloth.
Yeah. Women use loofahs a lot though.
That's true. Yeah.
I didn't know what a loofah was.
I just use my hands, dude.
Do you?
Yeah.
You never did use a washcloth?
I've never used a washcloth or a loofah.
A loofah? You still to this day?
To this day. Am I just an animal over here?
No,
washing myself with my hands?
No, I don't. I just think have you ever tried
the soap is self-cleansing. Like what? Why do you need the washcloth? What's it do?
Here's your dead skin.
Yeah, for grip, like too.
It's like
for
exfoliating.
Yeah, I mean
grip for what?
The dirt, your skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you dry yourself, do you use your hands? Like, what do you like? I mean, when you wash your car, your dishes, do you use it? Like, what do you? You use a cloth to wash it. Like everything else in the world gets washed with a thing. You think you just use your hand? Like I guess, like I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, listen. I was doing a lot of wrong stuff in my life, and I figured some shit out. I was like, "Oh, that is better." Like I used to didn't clean my back, and then people was like, "You don't clean your back," and then I started cleaning my back, and I found out I had a lot of dirt on my back. Use a washcloth, bro. Your shit gonna be looking like all this shit. Like it's crazy.
Do I look dirty? Do I look?
You don't look dirty, but white people got a way of not like looking dirty. Like I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing. It is, bro. A white dude could come out from hiking 3 days and look just like you. Yeah, they come out. They know what they doing.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
I don't know.
That's like one of the secrets you learn.
Yeah, they just do that.
Like I never went to white people's school, but like I just figured that out. I guess
you only had 3 black people. I think that's white people's school. I don't know, man.
We have a way of looking clean.
I tried just using my hand before, and I was like, I do not feel clean. Like get out the shower.
Yeah.
Like all right. So that's another question.
You're like my hand was dirty though.
See, this is the thing, right? You got to clean between your ass cheeks. What are you using? You scrubbing with your fingernails? Like, that's what I'm saying. Then you go eat your food? Like, get the I don't know, man. Like, in between your toes.
I understand. Like, the logic is making sense to me now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of preferring not to think about it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you seem like a clean, well-groomed guy.
Well, like, the soap takes care of everything. Maybe it's just like white people just have a way of looking clean, so we like don't clean ourselves as well.
You know what, man? I had a comedian friend. He was just like, why does he have to wash his hands after he used the bathroom if he didn't get no pee on his hands? Like, that was his life. He was like, nothing.
I mean, that's valid.
Right.
Well, if you don't touch anything. Because as a man, you could go to the bathroom without touching anything.
Okay, see, but this is the thing, though. This is why he came up with that logic without using the real logic of what happens. First off, pee splashes.
You got pee particles everywhere.
Yeah, you don't see that. This is another thing, bro. touch your dick and smell your hands. That's why you should clean your hands, bro. Like, it's simple. It's simple, bro. It's so, like, it's simple, bro. Like, my mom had to tell me that, but she didn't have to tell me that, bro.
Yeah,
like,
I just know.
Yeah, you touch your dick and smell your hand. It's disgusting, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Look, I wash my hands after going to the bathroom.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
You.
I'm on board with that one.
Well, after you said it was valid. Like,
yeah. So you could go, as a man at least, you could go to the bathroom without touching anything other than like your belt. It'd be possible. Or I guess like you'd have to pull down your pants.
How do you would drip your pants? Yo, you gotta shake your penis up.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I think after you use the bathroom, you wash your hands. How did you get in the bathroom? How did you?
Yeah. Like you touched the door to get in there. You touched enough stuff that you should just wash your hands.
If you my friend and we gotta argue about you washing your hands, then you can't come to my house as my friend. Like, yeah, touching my cups and all that.
Touching my food.
Yeah.
We sharing chips. We're eating chips together.
Man, crazy.
Yeah. So Buzfeed. So Buzfeed was trying to do this thing with where they're doing authenticity at scale, and you just can't really do it. You can't force somebody to make tons of videos, like 2 videos a day or whatever, and also have them be good videos and also have them be. So it wasn't really working, and a lot of their best creators that were like the most popular just started leaving and starting their own channels, and there was this whole like trend of why I left Buzfeed. Have you seen these? I'm asking you because you were like, oh, I kind of wanted to be a BuzzFeed creator for a while. But yeah, there was this whole trend. Like if you go YouTube, why I left BuzzFeed, there's so many videos and they always got tons of views and then they'd get a bunch of subscribers on their new channel. So if you got a big following at BuzzFeed, you go to the new channel and just kind of take off yourself. Right. They also started being, their labor practices weren't like super great. Because they were trying to do these videos, they just would be disingenuous. So on the low end, they'd be disingenuous about it. They'd be like, you make a video that's like, I tried carrots for the first time. Like nobody believes at 30 years old that you tried carrots you've never tried carrots before in your life, So first of all, nobody believes that. On the high end, there was like sort of this culture of like, put out or be fired. So like put out videos or be fired. So
they was putting out anything.
Yeah, no. Like
I'm eating my toenails.
Produce. Yeah, exactly. Like I ate my toenails. I did. So they would like, because they're trying to do these like outlandish videos, a lot of them would have to do with like we waxed or and so they'd be like naked in the studios and stuff like that. Right. So obviously like the kind of stuff that, if you worked in Silicon Valley, HR would not be okay with. But that was just what they did. And then there was a guy who tells a story who's become a somewhat popular streamer after BuzzFeed. And he told a story about how he got in a really bad car accident on the way to work. Like bad, he was hurt. He wasn't feeling well. And he was like feeling sick and nauseous. But he had an important meeting that he had to be at. And he knew that like, that's just not an excuse. Like I got in a bad car accident isn't an excuse if you're alive.
At BuzzFeed?
Yeah, that was his. He was like, that was the culture. At least this is how he felt.
Could have made a video on that.
Yeah.
See, that would have been good.
I got in a car accident. I don't feel well. I think no. So he goes to this meeting. He makes it to the meeting, and he goes to his main producer afterwards, and he's like, hey, like I got in a car accident on the way here. I don't feel good. I feel like nauseous and like I feel like I might have some like internal damage. Like, can I go to the hospital? And the producer goes, no, you're needed for a video like right now in Studio C or whatever. And he was like, that was just the culture at BuzzFeed. It's like either die or put videos out. And if you don't get the views, then you'll get fired. So that was kind of like, as the YouTube algorithm changed, they weren't getting the views as much, probably also because they just weren't as authentic. Like, yeah, nobody believes that. Nobody, when you're putting out 2 videos a day and you're forced to, like, you're not creative, you're not funny, you're not any of those things.
Not living life.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think what do people say? Good art is just an extension of living like a good life, right? So they just weren't putting out good work, and the views suffered. Their biggest creators that were drawing views because they had a reputation left, in like started in 2016, 2017, 2018. And now if you go to BuzzFeed's YouTube channel, it's pretty much a ghost town. They've got 30 million subscribers, maybe 40 million subscribers on their main channel.
A lot.
Yeah, most of their videos get 10,000 views. If you know YouTube at all, you know that's like an awful ratio. They do a lot of celebrity stuff now, and those ones will get like they'll do celebrities answer the internet type questions or type videos, which is just a knockoff format. They took that from Wired, a different company. Those ones will get views because people know who Jennifer Lawrence is or Ryan Reynolds or something like that. But their original videos that they're making in house are just not getting views now. They've laid off a bunch of that staff, and they've even laid off. For a while they were doing like legit news. They even won a Pulitzer Prize for some news stories that they did, some investigative reports that they did. They've cut that department as well, and it's like, you didn't even know what BuzzFeed was, but it's just like this big, which is crazy to me, but it's like this big part of like internet culture history. Like it really moved sort of the internet culture forward a lot. And now it's basically this ghost town, right?
And it seems like everybody fed off that. Like, now that you're explaining it to me, like, Instagram, like all my Vine, everything.
Exactly,
all my stuff
like those
too.
were all born because they realized, like, oh, if you have this sort of like algorithmic thing that feeds people content, people will come back.
Yeah.
So they're not doing the views anymore. They're not getting the traffic anymore. But the question is, money, right? So how well do they do financially? They're a public company, so we know. So I could only find like 2018 through 2022, but their revenue has been kind of steadily just the same the last 5 years. Their profits have been negative most years. So they're a pretty mature company to not be making a profit. A media company. I mean, it's one thing if a tech company is putting money into research and they're not making a profit, but a media company should be making a profit at this point. In 2022, they had their biggest loss in 5 years. They were negative 122 million on only 430 million in revenue, which is like a pretty awful P&L. That's like those are pretty bad financials for really any company. Their stock started out at $9.79 a share. It's now 38 cents a share. So
I didn't know they were even public.
They're public. I mean, I don't know how they're staying public, but yeah, they're basically they're a public company that should be private, honestly. And they should be able, like, if they could just downscale, like downsize, and just focus on what's going well for them, and not have to be this like big media company, they'd probably be okay. But trying to force, it's like they figured out virality for the millennials.
Yeah.
But they didn't really figure out what virality looks like for like the next generation of internet kids. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of don't think they should focus on that shit. I think they shouldn't focus on pushing it out. But I think that this new thing, I don't like it. I don't.
Like shorter form. So TikTok killed them a little bit too.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Because they didn't really like get it,
Yeah. I just don't like this new content that I like 90s shit. I don't know. I like 90s, 2000s. I like regular shit. Like
that wasn't internet content. That was just TV shows and
movies. But I'm just when I'm making or creating though, I need like it to actually, like you said logic earlier, and I'm like, I wonder if our logic is not me and yours, but today's people logic and our logic, is it the same? I didn't like.
What do you mean? Say more.
I think I'm a liberal.
Okay.
I don't think I'm liberal like the people here. Like,
Interesting.
Do y'all get that? Like, I don't know if the people are gonna get that.
Is that what do you think of that? Like,
what's different between
do you want to say
liberal? What's different between your liberal and
my liberal is we really do accept everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really do accept everybody. People say they accept everybody here, but they don't accept the people that they don't accept. Like, I never hated Republicans. I never really wanted them to die. Like this thing, they hate Republicans. And I'm like, us as liberals, original liberals, we don't hate people. We don't go around spreading hate. Like this thing about, do you think black people hate you like white people overall?
That's not been my lived experience. But no.
Because we don't.
So no.
We don't. Do white people hate black people overall?
Not my lived experience.
Yeah. See, so this thing about like these verses of this and that isn't a thing that I grew up in as a person who like wants freedom and like who wants everybody to be like well off and good. Like, I don't have this. mindset of, oh, you don't agree with that? Well, you like, then you're this and a bigot. And I was like, I don't call people, like, you know.
So it sounds like you're like, you consider yourself to be more liberal politically, but you don't necessarily
I never even called myself that. I only started calling myself that, like,
once you figured out what it was.
Like, I don't know. I thought I was already that without saying that.
Yeah.
You're more of like liberal, open-minded, whereas you're saying the liberals here are more of like left-wing.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
It sounds like you just aren't on
Is
board with
that
cancel
new
culture.
shit though? Because I never thought that's what people.
I think cancel culture is somewhat new, but yes and no. So, I mean, if we want to like be, you know, get into like whatever evolutionary biology or whatever you want to call it, where like humans have always ostracized like out like edge cases that don't serve the group, right? So think about even like tribal humans, like if there are edge cases of people who are like disruptive to our group and our way of life and they're not really helpful, it's like, well, we don't need them. Like that's not helpful. So in that sense, you could say like cancel culture's always been around. But I think that what you're saying is, and what I've heard other people say is like, it seems like maybe the internet has accelerated it to where it's like, now it seems like we're trying to take off like big chunks of people instead of just like super edge case type of people.
Yeah, I mean, even taking out
like
people,
if you're putting on, if you're like full on like, yeah, I'm white power, like, yeah, I think we could ostracize you. I think that's okay to like cancel you if you're like openly racist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Done. Yeah. But if you just like regular white power, then you good. But even, yeah. I mean,
what was regular?
No. Well, I guess like, no, I've seen like white people not hate on anybody, but just be super fucking white and it looks bad. And I'm like, well, he didn't really say nothing. He just like, yo, he wants his family to be, you know what I'm saying?
He's just a white guy.
He's just a white guy. Like long as he don't go shoot nobody, I don't really got no, long as he don't work in government, he's not a judge. Like that's where I really draw the line. But I saw this article here they tried to even get this lady, like, was it here? Whatever the case was, she baked cakes and she didn't want to do a cake for like a gay wedding or whatever the case is. Right. And people
I've
thought
heard this one. Yep.
Yeah. People thought that was horrific. Like that she didn't want to do it. I'm like, she can make cakes for whoever she want to make cakes for. Now, I got something even better. Let's not support her. We ain't gotta like super like.
She would be canceled.
Yeah.
Did she get canceled?
She did. Yeah. So if it's the one that I'm thinking of, she did. But then there's also like a whole other group of people across, because it made national news.
Yeah.
There's a whole other group of people across the country who are like, she should be able to not, you know, for any reason. It's just the fact that she decided to say, she didn't say, I'm refusing you service because I have the right to refuse you service. She decided to say why she was refusing the service, right? So I think that's,
which is going to sound weird. It's fine. That is fine, bro. She could say, I don't want to do it because you guys are too short. That's fine. I'm telling all my short
you got to be
friends,
5 feet tall.
That's a form of discrimination.
But
right?
It is a form of discrimination. But if you're a small business owner, look, I ain't gonna lie to you. I hate discrimination. I hate when I walk into a place and they like, yo, if your pants hanging and you got a big white shirt, you can't come in. You know what I do? Even though I don't dress like that, I don't go in. You know, now if I go to the post office and they got that up, that's a problem.
Yeah,
but people,
because everybody needs to go there.
Yeah, if you don't want me around, or if that person doesn't choose to do business that way, I don't even want nothing from them. After she said that and she changed her mind, would you still even go like to her cake place?
Yeah. That's so I think the core issue is, should independent businesses that are not government funded be allowed to refuse service on any grounds, right? On no grounds or any grounds, should they just be allowed to refuse service?
That's like back in the old days when they would refuse service to colored people, right?
Okay, so like let's
what's the difference between that and the Jim Crow South?
So you got, first off, because you had these two different schools, right? So these group of people would get this type of education, and this group of people would get this type of education. These are what the books would look like. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Walmart, right, Safeway, that's different. So that's a corporation, like, you know what I'm saying? This is where the people in this neighborhood get food from. I can understand that. I'm not trying to switch the rules up to make it fit for me. This type of discrimination and this type of this person who doesn't want to fix my car because I'm black, I could understand that. But like, if the whole group is just like, if the whole nation is like, yo, this is what we doing to this group of people because of this, that's crazy. So if all the cake places were just like, yo, we gonna do this, it's a worldwide problem. But is this one lady who doesn't like enjoy making cakes, but she's religious and don't want to, like, she shouldn't be prosecuted.
Like what you're saying is there's somebody else out there who will make
it. You can get it. If you try to compare that to like Jim Crow,
she can just
we
can let the market decide whether she deserves to be in business or not.
Yeah, you can let the people decide that. I know it doesn't sound different. It's totally different, though.
I understand what you're saying.
So you're saying it's okay to have pockets of people who.
I don't think that it's okay. I don't think she should have denied that lady because they're gay. I don't think that's okay. Do I think it's okay if she feels that way? Yeah, like you should be able to serve who you want. If you want your art to be done this way, you could do that. Like that's what it.
If nobody buys it because of that, that's on you.
Yeah, if she wants to do that, then I would have just if my friend who is gay was just like, yo, this day denied because they're gay, I'm not going. I'm straight. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that lady shouldn't go to jail or get hate mail or be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this is what the new liberals do. Like they then attack. And I'm like, why are you're first off, you're a liberal. You're not supposed to do that. Yeah. Like that's the big, you know what I'm saying? So that's my whole thing about that. You're like, you're becoming the people you hate. You know, like that's the
interesting.
It is like if you look at it, like it blows our minds sometimes. Like, you know, it kind of.
If I were to distill what you're saying, it sounds like you're kind of saying that like, you don't really believe that like people. Like she shouldn't be discriminating and saying, yeah, I'm not going to make your wedding cake because you're gay.
Yeah.
But just as important as her as like people's right to not be discriminated against is her right to like refuse service or to believe what she believes.
She could be free that way.
And if the market then decides that her business doesn't exist because of it, then that's the market.
Yeah. We could boycott the shit out of her. We can, you know. And then people may go still support her. Let them. That lady still had a wedding. She still went there, like, but her hate wanted to bring that lady down, and that I do have a problem with that because if anything to help that lady become better, show us that we're better. That's I don't know. As my person in my position, I've always done that.
You are very emotionally mature.
Oh,
emotionally intelligent.
Now
I mean, I maybe so.
What you mean no?
Like, yeah, I mean, we do that all the time. Like,
yeah,
my daughter goes to this daycare here, and I tell people, oh, we heard y'all from New Orleans. We love the fried chicken there. Like, I could explode, I could do something, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, like, you know, I was like, do you like fried chicken? Yeah. And then, like, you know, I make it, I get it to where they understand why they shouldn't say things, or maybe, you know, why they said that. Have you ever been put in that situation where you said something to a person and they walked you into why what you said was ridiculous, and you're just like, oh shit, like.
Yeah, like now that I see it, yeah, for sure.
And you didn't mean to do that,
right?
But like, if you did mean it, then you got caught. Like, you know? So it's a mind thing. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
So looking at BuzzFeed and them trying to push something, people do that all the time, and I guess it works for them. I can't do that. Like.
I think there's a balance, you know. I've said this on my show before that. Do you know who George R.R. Martin is? He wrote the
Game of Thrones.
Oh
yeah.
So he's the person who's written the books.
Yeah,
they're not done. The books are not finished.
I thought they did. I thought recently
the show is done.
They wrote something else for the show, but he hasn't finished writing his books.
He hasn't finished
I hope he doesn't do it before he dies.
This is the main concern right now for Song of Ice and Fire fans. Those are what the books are called. But he takes so long to write stuff. Like he's the slowest. He's like a very pure artist. He writes when it comes to him. He waits for inspiration. And there's a famous clip of him